After disappointment at the Valley here on Friday, we're back on the road this evening where we are unbeaten in the last 3 matches. Cambridge United are the hosts and they are one of several teams, including ourselves, who are looking to finish the season in the top half. As always, we have an action-packed pre-game programme for you where we'll speak to Johnny Jackson and also club captain Jason Pearce. We'll look back at last Saturday's loss at home to Morecambe. And we'll have all the latest Charlton news ahead of today's game. Delighted to say Curbs is alongside me again. How are you, Curbs?
I'm good.
3 games left. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know, it's gone so quick, hasn't it? But looking forward to it tonight because no pressure, is there really? So there should be a few goals, hopefully. OK, 3 games left, and he's had about 5 holidays in this time as well. Anyway, we're also very pleased to be joined by this Charlton TV debutant.
Short one. He's back. Yes! And it's there. And it's Phil Chapple. Phil Chapple has his 4th for the season.
And that's a great goal from the captain, Phil Chapple. It was an absolutely rejected corner to allow Phil Chapple to head into an open goal.
Chapple gets up. Oh, yes! Phil Chapple! Oh, it's there. Yes! It's gone in. It's Phil Chapple. He scores another one.
Do you know what? So tall, obviously good in the air, but we must have had a goal with that left foot of yours, Chappie.
I'm sure I scored a tap in with the left foot.
It is, of course, a man who played for both teams involved this evening and also helped put together the Addicts promotion-winning team, what, a decade ago now?
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, unbelievable. Phil Chapple, welcome to Charlton TV. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, thank you. And you?
Good to see you. Been alongside you again from back in the day.
You did all my running for a year.
That was when I could run, I have to say. How much are you looking forward to, even though obviously the game's not here, but being here at the Valley and looking forward to doing this game
It's
tonight?
nice. I've been back a few times recently. I was at Curbs' the unveiling of the stand and been at other games this season in my capacity as scout, so it's not an unfamiliar place to me.
No. What is it, 167 games for Charlton, 238 for Cambridge as well? A lot of feeling for both of these clubs this evening?
Yeah, I think probably of the clubs I played for, they're the 2 I've got most affinity to. Cambridge because it's where I sort of came through, but here we had a good time here. It's a good club, and it was a nice time to be here.
Played a massive part, of course, at Charlton a decade ago. You're at Luton now, aren't you? How's that going?
I am. Well, at the moment, Touchwood is going very well. Injuries notwithstanding, we're punching above our weight, I have to say, in terms of the budget that we've got, and I mean the manager's doing a tremendous job. We'll see where we go.
It's all about the recruitment, that's what it is. It's all about the recruitment. Curbs, I mean, look, it's great to have Chappie here, isn't it? And we'll head down memory lane a little bit later. You touched on tonight's game. It's one of those where you're trying to sort of think, OK, what's the hook here? What's the line? And, you know, these 2 teams, amongst a few others, you want to finish in the top half of the season table. It's not a great thing, obviously, but you certainly don't want to be finishing the season in the bottom half.
It's better than finishing in the bottom half, isn't it? And ending the season strongly. But Cambridge got a fantastic result at the weekend, so they'll be full of confidence. And I know we suffered the defeat here, but I don't think we deserved it. In saying that, you let 3 goals in, then you do deserve it. But it was a very open game here at the weekend, and we could have edged it with the chances created. So perhaps tonight it'll be our turn to put away a couple more than Cambridge do.
We need another away performance like we got at Rotherham not that long ago. Kick-off at Cambridge, 7:45. Let's get cracking, shall we? And Johnny Jackson spoke to Charlton TV a little bit earlier.
Okay, Jacko, the penultimate away game of the season, Cambridge United, who are in good form. It's just about getting back on track and getting a result tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, quick turnaround from Friday's disappointment, obviously, so we're keen to put that right. Had a good result on the road the last time we travelled, so obviously not as far to go tonight. Yeah, a team that are in good form, so a tricky tie, obviously, but yeah, we're keen to get another 3 points on the board.
Just the one change tonight. Connor comes back in for Mason Burstow. What's the thinking there? Is that just about getting Connor back in? Because I know you said you were managing his minutes on Friday.
Yeah, it was difficult to leave him out. Obviously, you know, knowing how much of a threat he is, but he's had his issues, obviously, with his injuries and stuff like that, and we're really keen that, that we don't lose him, and that we obviously look after the player. So it feels good. He's ready to go. He's back in, and so one change.
I guess the target now is that top half finish, isn't it? They currently occupy 12th. If we win tonight, we go a point behind them. Is that what it's all about now? Is that the sort of stuff you will communicate with lads, just to try and do themselves as proud as they can for these last 3 games? And it does make a bit of a difference at the optics, isn't it, finishing top half rather than the bottom half?
Yeah, I guess so. For me, it's just try and win every game. Try and win every game and give everything you've got from now to the end of the season. It's 3 games. After tonight, there'll be 2 more games and 10 days or whatever it is, and the season's over for another year. And you shouldn't look back on this time or any period of your career with regrets. So let's leave it all out there. Let's have a right go now between now and the end of the season and see how many points we can get.
One change on the bench as well. Deji Eleraway's back. He's had a bit of a layoff through injury. Some fans may be unaware of that, but it's nice to have another young player involved again like Deji, who's had such a good season earlier on.
Yeah, really pleased that Deji's back in amongst the group. He's been training now for a couple of weeks, and obviously the ideal plan with him was to get some minutes with the 23s today, actually, but Ben Purton's got a bit of a knock, and we are a bit light in that in those defensive positions, obviously with Lavelle being out and it's obviously still suspended. So we needed cover on the bench, so Deji's come straight in with us.
A word for the fans tonight. It was a game that was put back. It would have been a nice sunny bank holiday game yesterday, but they're making their numbers about 1,000 here tonight as well, so a word for them as well.
Yeah, fantastic support as always. Gave them something to shout about in the last away game further up the road, and obviously sent them home happy that day. We want to do the same. We always do, home or away, but support has been magnificent all season, at home, on the road, and just want to thank them one last time.
Good luck tonight, Jacko.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is the team that Jacko has picked. Just that one change. Connor coming back in for Meso, who drops to the bench. Good to see Chucks, there's Jake, there's DJ and Jonathan Lecco as well. So it's a very attacking bench. But thoughts, Curbs, of Connor back in?
Well, yeah, I think that Jacko mentioned that he was trying to, give him some rest in between, because he's been out, like so many of the players, have been out for so long. I mean, Blackie Taylor, another one who was flying at the weekend, but he's been out with an injury, so let's have a good look at him. But it was the bench again. Chuck's coming on, made a massive difference. It's another strong bench, isn't it?
Absolutely. Chappie, I know Alex Gilby's a player that you like, isn't he?
Yeah, he's done well when I've seen him, even going back to his Colchester days. He's always had something, and I've seen him down here a couple of times this season where I thought he's really driven the team on. So hopefully tonight the same.
Good to see the centre-back, young centre-back on the bench.
Deji?
Yeah, because, giving him experience, and, I'm not wishing him to come on because there's an injury, but, at this time of the season, it's nice to see some of the young players get somewhere near the first team.
Absolutely, and get that experience of just being in the dressing room as well and seeing how the first team players prepare for a game. Great experience. Let's have a look at the league table, shall we? And our loss on Friday kept us in 15th. Cheltenham and Accrington drew 4-4 in what was a thriller on Friday. Cheltenham lost 3-0 to Lincoln Easter Monday. Accrington lost 3-1 to Bolton. It means a win this evening will see us climb 2 places up to 13th. Below us, the relegation race is really heating up. Gillingham and Fleetwood drew 0-0 and a huge 6-pointer yesterday, while AFC Wimbledon's draw at Wickham didn't end their winless streak, but did keep their hopes of survival alive. Chappie, only, 3 games to go, 2 for most of them. Who goes down? And don't say Crewe and Donny.
I was at Gillingham Fleetwood yesterday, actually. It wasn't a great 0-0.
I bet it wasn't.
Yeah, a result that probably favoured Fleetwood more, but they've got to do something with their game in hand now. I'm going to go Wimbledon and Gillingham and then to join the other two.
Yeah, Fleetwood's game in hand is Sheffield Wednesday at home, so we'll have to see how they get on. Looking at the top half now, and today's opponents, Cambridge had an excellent away win on Saturday, as Curb said. They beat Wigan 2-1. That was incredible, really, wasn't it? Saturday, a big day in the promotion race. Rotherham returned to winning ways with a big win over Ipswich, and it was an important day for them with MK Dons losing, as well as Wigan. Incredible turnaround. At Sheffield Wednesday, Wickham and Sunderland all seem to be hitting form at the right time, making the battle for a playoff place very exciting. Curb's incredible day for Rotherham that Saturday because, I think it was just one win in 5 or 6 before then, and I was up there on Thursday and there was a little bit of negativity there.
A bit nervous. I can't help thinking that cup run they had, Papa John's, caused them a massive problem, I think, and I don't think when they played us straight after it done them any favours. And But I was glad to see that they got back to winning ways. But I'm looking at so many big clubs in this league. I mean, we talk about us, which is quite right. But, you know, you start looking at Ipswich and Bolton and Portsmouth, Sheffield Wednesday, Sunderland, you know, massive, Wigan even, you know, big clubs.
Chappie, how far does it go down, or who do you think is going to be in the playoffs? If I'm going to say Wigan and Rotherham now for automatic. What do you think for playoffs? Yeah,
I actually think it's going to still be the same four that are there now. In what order, I don't know. But Oxford have got MK tonight. That's a particularly big game. But Sheffield Wednesday, as you said, are on
a couple of games in hand now. Only 1 point behind Wickham.
Yeah.
We don't know, do we? Let's be fair. We're all just guessing. I mean, who would have thought what happened on Saturday with the top three as well? So. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's going to go to the very last game. OK, quite a few games played yesterday. Let's have a look at tonight's games now, shall we? And there are some very important ones as well. Rotherham be looking to put more pressure on MK with a tricky away trip to Burton, while the Latics could be promoted if they win at Ipswich and MK Dons fail to win at Carl Robinson's Oxford. Sheffield Wednesday could jump as high as 4th with a win against Crewe. A lot riding on that Oxford MK Dons fixture though, Curbs, isn't there?
Well, it is, because I think Oxford have just been outside it for most of the season, haven't they? And they've just lost their way a little bit. But, yeah, that's going to be a big result. And the fact that, did you say Wigan can, if they get the result at Ipswich?
Yeah.
I mean, that will be a big result anyway, but if they can get that and go up, and it just shows you that, you know, they got relegated last year and come straight back up.
Wednesday should be Crewe. I might change Chappie's opinion as to who's going to be in
No,
those
I should say I actually think Sheffield Wednesday will make it and go up.
Wow.
So, but funnily enough, they are at Wickham on Saturday. I think, yes. So there's some games to be won and lost. Yeah.
I'd say not many games, but there's some crucial ones tonight, aren't there? A very important one here as well. OK, more on this evening shortly, but let's get to club news updates now, shall we? And season ticket news first. It went on sale early this month and prices have been frozen through until May the 9th. The most affordable adult ticket costs just £260, which equates to just £11.30 per game. So please don't miss out. Get your ticket at booking.cafc.co.uk. Now, today's game is a midweek match, which means we are allowed to stream the match live in the UK and Ireland. So please make sure you purchase your live streaming pass now. And you can get it for today's game for just £10 by going to cafc.co.uk. A reminder that Karen Hills' Addicts will make history on May the 1st when they become the first professional female side to represent Charlton in a competitive game at the Valley. The Addicts host Durham Women in their final game of the season, and the tickets for the historic match cost just £10 for adults and £5 for concessions. Do not miss out. Get your ticket at booking.cafc.co.uk. Who's that? It's a familiar face on screen. Curbs.
Thank you.
Just a few years ago. There's no slim fit there, Curbs.
No, look at it.
You could have got away with it as well. Look, I understand you'll be attending a meeting of the Bromley Addicts later this week on Thursday, April
yeah,
the 21st.
I got accosted in the foyer by Ben Hayes, who gave me a Chinese burn and sort of forced me into coming to Bromley.
What's wrong with Bromley? You can pop into my house for a coffee on the way.
I know, but I've never been to. I don't think I've ever been to the supporters club at Bromley. I didn't do too many, to be fair, but yeah, I've been asked to go, so yeah, watch this space.
Well, indeed, supporters interested in attending can find details on the Bromley Addicts Twitter page. I'll see you a little bit before. Give me a knock. I'll do a coffee for you.
Apparently parking's really desperate. I might have to park at your place and walk.
No, well, I don't actually live in Bromley, but I'm on the way to Bromley. I'm very,
okay.
very close indeed. OK, move on, shall we? Just one home game remaining this season, and that is this Saturday when we host Shrewsbury Town. In addition, Charlton legend Jan Kermigan will be returning to the Valley, and we'll celebrate him on the pitch at half-time, as well as, of course, being in the studio. Make sure you are here on Saturday. Get your ticket now, booking.cafc.co.uk. For those that weren't able to pick it up, as well as all the other interesting features, Friday's Valley review included a special look at CharltonTV. It's an interesting feature and well worth a read. There are even a few quotes from some familiar faces. Charlotte Richardson, Alan Curbishley, and even myself managed to get a few words in as well. They obviously didn't speak to Brownie, did they? He's probably still away at the time. You can purchase a hard copy of the programme from tickets.cafc.co.uk, or you can download it on the Matchday digital app. Visit cafc.co.uk for more information. OK, earlier on today, the Charlton under-23s entertained Cardiff City under-23s here at the Valley. It turned out to be quite the goal fest, as striker Daniel Kanu netted a hat-trick, taking his goal tally to just the 39 for the season. There are also goals from Ryan Viggers, Karoy Anderson and Miles Leeburn. Miles getting on the score sheets again as the young Addicts cruised to victory. The final score was 6-1 against Cardiff. What a result that was. And Chapple, you got here early, didn't you? Did you watch a bit?
No, if I'd have known it was on, I would have. If I'd have known it was on, I would have done.
Fair enough. And look who that is as well. We all know him here on Charlton TV. One final bit of club news, that is to congratulate George and Susanna Jones, who got married on Friday. Now, for those of you who don't know, George is the club's video production manager and has been absolutely crucial to the success of Charlton TV since returning to the club last February. He comes from a family of Charlton fans who are no doubt keeping an eye on goings-on at the Valley during Friday's wedding and telling him the score, and he probably said at some point, I don't want to know anymore. Oh, I still want to keep this the happiest day of my life. We wish George and Susanna an incredible honeymoon and a very happy lifetime together. Well done, guys. Love that. Congratulations. OK, from what was a very successful day, I'm sure, to a very successful and memorable career. Let's go to memory lane, shall we, Chappie? Are you ready for it?
Go on in.
Listen, I mean, you played for both clubs tonight. So before we get to Charlton, you were part of what was a very interesting and successful Cambridge side. Yeah. Look, a team that went from Division 4, look at you there, to Division 2. What was that journey like?
Probably the making of me, really. There was a lot of young players that had been released or came out of bigger clubs. I came from Norwich at the time, and into the bottom division in order to play league football, to play senior football, because I played a lot of reserve team games. When John Beck took over from Chris Turner, we just seemed to click and go on. We had a particular style of playing, which you probably get to in a bit. But well, I'd have to say we weren't like that to start off with. We probably gradually became horrible. Yeah, well, I was going to say worse then, if you want to say, but we gradually became more extreme in the way we approached it.
Before we just get onto that, because funny enough, Kurz, we touched on John Beck, didn't we, at the weekend, and the style of play, so you can tell us more about it. But the team included the likes of Dean Dublin, Steve Claridge, Liam Daesh, with Beck as the manager as well. What was it like playing with those guys?
Well, Alan Kimball and Lee Philpott also played Premier League football, so there was a lot of good players in there. And that was something I think that gets missed with that team. We played the percentages, and that was what we did. And that's from a defensive point of view, I don't think there was anything sort of wrong with that, and we'd have continued to do. I just think we missed a trick with not loosening up when you've got people like Dion and Steve up front, Lee Philpott wide, Michael Cheatham was the other side. You can take the game to teams and in a different way. You don't have to be quite as rigid as we were, but in the same breath, it got a success.
Is that right? They used to put sand in the corners and made the showers cold all the time for the away teams and 50 million sugars in the tea. So it'd be horrible.
Showers cold for the home team as well. That was part of our build-up. An infamous part of our build-up. Sort of. It started off with a cup of water away at Halifax and ended up with a drenching 10 seconds under a freezing cold shower. But no, I think Becky looked for the marginal gains as was then. But I have to say there was also parts of our build-up and support that was ahead of its time. We used to have warm downs after games. We would have recovery days where we'd come in the day after a game and get the next day off. We had pasta meals put on for us, ahead of the game. We're talking early 90s there. So there was a lot of stuff that I think we did, which I think he was a little bit ahead of his time on.
What was it like playing against or managing a John Beck side?
There's a few teams over the years, that I remember that, when you're playing them at the weekend, you sort of focused on them and it was more about them. Cambridge was one, Wimbledon was another under Dave Bassett. Bolton under Sam Allardyce. You knew what you had to contend with. You knew what you had to deal with. And in a funny sort of way, you sort of got carried away with it, and you just talked too much about the opposition. And I don't know if it done our side any good, you know, like pointing all the good things and what you got to do. It's difficult. I think people find it now with probably, if I was up against Man City now, you know, what do you do if you're up against Man City at the moment? You know, do you try and get the ball back early on? Do you drop off and make it difficult for them? So, but John Beck...
You see if you can get 15 players in a team first.
Yeah. But John Beck made you think, you know, you had to think from Monday onwards, what am I going to do to stop Cambridge?
Yeah.
That was it. What am I going to do to stop Cambridge doing what they're good at?
So those mind games kind of worked almost in that sense as well. I mean, look, Cambridge are obviously doing well, and we were looking for a replacement for Webbo, Simon Webster. So why Chappie?
Well, size, power in the air, and he could play. It's funny that he probably wasn't allowed to pass it out too much at Cambridge, but he could bring it down and pass our way out. And he was the perfect size and strength for whoever partnered him, whoever we had at the time. So he was saying earlier that he was partnering Ruth, but I'm not too sure about that. You came in and you was with Stuart Barmer to start with, wasn't it?
Well, Alan McCleary at the very start. I mean, don't forget, my upbringing was at Norwich. So, you know, although I went to Cambridge and played a very different style there, you know, I was used to playing.
No, you could play, and that's why I said only half jokingly about it's just headed goals in there. What about the left foot? Because you could play.
Well, I tended to play left side as well, didn't I? As we talked about us playing alongside each other, but I think depending on who I played with would depend on which side I played, to be fair. But no, I was probably, I wanted to be the more dominant central defender, so playing alongside Stewie Barmer, for example, was good for me because Stewie didn't want to be that. I remember when I played with Liam Dace at Cambridge, perhaps we both wanted to be. So that was me and Stewie dovetailed quite well, I think, in our period together.
Yeah, no, definitely two-footed, I have to say. You came in with a good squad, an excellent left back. It's in the script, honestly. You played 44 games that season as well. What do you remember about the first season?
A lot of success up to the late. I don't know quite why. I don't know why you'd have put that down to. We obviously got the quarter-final of the FA Cup away at Man United. We were second at the beginning of March. We had a bad run, I think, of like Millwall away, Bolton away, and they were all right up there. And we just never really recovered from the loss at United either. And it faded away into a very sort of mediocre season, which promised so much. I remember coming here first. My first day was here at the Valley for photograph day, like early August, and I hadn't been here before. I'd played reserves games against Charlton at Welling, and the terrace was still up, which I'm glad it was because it was immense. I remember coming out of the porter cabins as it was then and looking over this far side of the pitch and just looking up and up and up. But obviously the ground now is very different to how it was. But it was good. But it was a nice feel about the club. Having come from provincial clubs like Norwich and Cambridge, it was a very similar feel here, I think. And you just obviously come back to the Valley, where a lot of supporters were, instrumental in helping that journey, and a lot of them were working here as well. So it was all, it was quite a nice. I was thinking I was going to turn up and it'll be this big, sort of not unfriendly club, but you wouldn't know people, but everybody knew everybody here.
No, absolutely. We had a really good bunch then, and that's what Curbs carried on through the years. OK, you talk about your first day. Let's have a look at your debut, shall we? Have a look at this.
So it'll be Wolf with a free kick, and Minto's made a run. And Minto's in here on the left-hand side. He's got the cross in, and at the far post, it's Phil Chapple. And on his debut, Phil Chapple has scored for Charlton. It's Charlton Athletic 1, Birmingham City 0. After 37 minutes, Scott Minto got down the left from a quick free kick by Walsh. He swung the ball in, and arriving at the far post for a super header, a towering header, it's Phil Chapple to make it 1-0.
So about that cross. No, I mean, that was your debut. It was a 1-0 win. You scored and it doesn't get better than that, does it? I'd
been stitched up by the doc previously, so I'd spent about 15 minutes off probably. I think there was messages getting sent back. Is he coming back on? Is he coming back on? So to then come back on and score was great. Probably more memorable goal for me than it was for you, Scott, I would have said. But I do remember, I mean, that was, you can't you can't wish for better, could you? 1-0 win at home, scoring the winner.
And Curbs, when you bring players in, you know, you just don't quite know. You can do all the homework on them, but you just don't know how they're going to settle. Chappie just settled in like snow, didn't he?
You do your homework. You have to do a little bit.
Of course, no, I'm saying, despite all the homework you do, you're still not sure exactly how it's going to go.
No, but we looked, you know, quite a lot at Chappie. You know, going to Cambridge wasn't a chore for me because it's just up the ME11, so I went and watched quite a few games there. So I knew what I was bringing in, and as I say, he probably wouldn't think it, but I was bringing in someone more athletic and
Well, I'm not sure that's been said too many
no,
times.
more athletic and more dominating than what I had. No disrespect to the other players, Alan McCleary and Stewie Barmer and whatever. It was only until Roof come through that I suddenly had size and real pace. And, you know, that's what you need as two centre-backs, as the pairing. But Chappie always mixed very well. There was no downside, really, on signing. I don't know what the fee was. Come on, enlighten me what the fee was. It's probably too much. Probably too much, yeah.
Norwich had half of that, actually. Because it was a period like there were no Bosmans. So I was out of contract at Cambridge, but went back to go back there and do pre-season. And I remember meeting you and Gritty.
£100,000.
Yeah.
What would you get for that nowadays? At that level?
That's the VAT.
Chappie scored 5 in his first season, 4 in his last. You know, how important is it that the central defenders do a little bit in both boxes?
Yeah, both boxes, and that's what I'm saying with the boy Innes at the moment. That, you know, if he was available in both boxes, and what I used to quite enjoy is if we knew that their best header was going to be marking, say, Chappie, then we'd move Chappie out of the way, basically, take their best header out, so that we could then attack the area and not having their best header there, so he might be able to defend it. So I always used to look to see who's marking who, and so I thought a few of the times you'd have been like, on the edge of the box. So I don't know how you got 4 or 5.
Well, look, Charlton have been knocking on the door for the First Division, and in 1997-98, obviously, you know, we went up after that game. What do you remember about that season? Go on, there's a big smile on your face. What are you thinking? You're holding something back.
I remember Curbs dropped me for Eddie Howes towards the end of the season. But you look back and it's evolution, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like now I'm into the recruitment side of things. You're always looking for better. So, you know, these things happen. But we were right up there for most of the season. So that was one. There'd been a couple of years. We got to the playoffs previously. We obviously missed out in the first year here. Got to the playoffs a couple of times, I think, but failed. But that season, I think we were better prepared for the experience that we'd had, and obviously got over the line in the end with, you know, obviously a really memorable day. But we were up there for most of the season, and we didn't miss out by far. We could have gone up the last game, couldn't we?
And funny enough, when I see pictures of the, you know, when Sasha saves the penalty and everything else, you're one of the main people that run on. You've got the suit on still, haven't you?
I was on the suit, yes.
We still had the suit, and it showed the spirit in the squad. Though you're not playing or you're not involved, that everyone was there.
Yeah. I think the 3 players with the most appearances sat on the bench. Is that right? You know, that were outside the 14 in those days. It was me, Stewie, and Paul Mortimer, I think, from memory. So, which is nice to, you know, a little bit closer and to some involvement. But
did you say anything to Curbs?
Do you know what I remember that day is how friendly the benches were. I know there's a lot of angst, but the atmosphere down there was for such a big game, and the way the game went, it never got in a ding dong. There was sort of mutual respect, and it was good.
Yeah, it certainly was. And we talked about that story of you walking down with the cup down Wembley Way as well, and the Sunderland fans were.
Keane was walking around with the cup. We had to walk down to the Richard Murray studio, and he was walking along with the cups. Mark Kinsella, and just fans were coming up having their Sunderland fans having their photograph done with it. It's incredible.
Look, because of injury, your playing career didn't last much longer. You did, though, work your way back to Charlton. We've alluded to that as well. You began your scouting career at Peterborough. How did you get back here?
So I finished my playing career at Peterborough, fell into coaching and scouting there really because I had a long contract, but I couldn't really play. I'd done my back in. My route here came via Alan Pardew. So Pards had gone into West Ham. I started doing some stuff there on a part-time basis. Then I would do 1 day a week in there. And when he came back, he asked me to come with him. But I used to do, so my primary role to start off with was doing team assessment stuff. So I was sort of in charge of that really, because I've done that for him at West Ham.
You enjoy that?
Yeah. No, it was good, and it was good to come in for that. Obviously, as things changed, Pards left, Phil Parkinson took over. I was very close to Phil. I helped him out for a bit, then went back to recruitment, but we sort of had less of a structure then. So it all came under one roof rather than recruitment and team assessments being two different things. They all became one then.
I remember when we played at Millwall, I drove you home, didn't I? Because you done your knee.
Yeah,
do you remember?
Yeah.
So it was the back what finished in the end?
Yeah, no, it was my back that finished me in the end, which I did at Peterborough. So my knee never ended up, it was fine. But yeah, I remember that snowy day at Millwall.
Well, we won at Millwall. Kim Grant scored a couple, and Chappie done his knee. And he couldn't drive, so I drove him home to Cambridge.
Yeah, you brought that up, didn't you, actually, on air a couple of weeks ago? Yeah. I remember you saying that about Chappie. Look, let's have a look at the pictures from the promotion season as well of a decade ago. I mean, you were a big part of putting that team together. How do you think you were able to do just that?
It was an interesting period, actually. Phil left when Tony Jimenez took over in the January. Chris came in about a month, 6 weeks later, and the end of that season drifted. But there were a lot of players that were out of contract, and Chris effectively cleared the decks. But the crucial part, I think, was selling to Arsenal, right back. Carl Jenkinson sold to Arsenal. Reinvested that. We were able to reinvest that money. So we hadn't had money to invest for ages. It felt like we'd hit the bottom. We were able to pick ourselves up and spend a little bit of money, invest in the team. Peter Varney came back at that period as well. And I think he was pivotal to the organisation behind the scenes regarding that. I think he sort of led on all that stuff. But the other thing I think was we were targeting particular types of players. So we had younger profiles in mind, but not kids, ones who'd played 100 games and we felt could go on and kick on if we improved as a team, they could improve with us.
Final one, then. You left in, September 2015 under Roland de Châtelet. Mm-hmm. Disappointed to have left there?
No, it was my choice. No, I think it felt the right time, and I had the offer of a good job at Fulham. Who'd restructured, and I'd done a long period of time here with, all due respect, sort of finance being a problem. Other than that sort of team that we put together for the League One season, to go somewhere else where a bigger structure, more support, but not only because that not made the job easier, but because you're able to look at that and how a structure ran. I'd seen how we did it, but that was a little bit more, with all due respect, hand to mouth. To go to a club that had money and could invest in infrastructure and see that see how that was done and how that worked was another reason.
I think it's very understandable as well when you're only allowed to look at a certain group of players and suddenly it opens up. Chappie, great for you to be here. All we ask for you this evening now is to bring us 3 points. No pressure.
Yeah, thank you.
OK, let's bring it back round to our last game now, shall we? Which, of course, was here on Friday against Morecambe. And Curbs, look, when we look at it, we actually started off well in the first 20 minutes, and they came into it, didn't they? And the second goal just before half-time was the killer.
Yeah, I mean, the fullback gets away, doesn't he? Is this the second one? He lays it off and goes, and he's not tracked. It's a really good goal from their point of view. But the guy is a finisher, isn't he? He's a finisher.
I was really impressed with him. I saw the stats, but stats don't... You need to be able to see people in the flesh, don't you?
Yeah, and, they took their chances. We didn't early on and paid the price, really. But I think Jacko said as well, there's a couple of them avoidable where, can someone make a challenge? We've got 4 or 5 players there and no one... And as you know, if a shot goes through people's legs, you've got a chance of scoring. But we've got ourselves back in it, and 2 assists, I think, from Colby Blackett.
Yeah.
This is a great cross, headed back, and was back in the game. We scored early enough to be back in the game, and but didn't take advantage of that.
Yeah, and then 3-1 was the killer, really. But I mean, you know, you got Jaden and Chuck's. Good to see him back as well, both on the score sheet.
This is a poor goal. I mean, the keeper's thrown it out, it's intercepted, but our defending from here on is really poor. 3 players around it again, no communication, I don't think, and he's allowed to get his shot off on his good foot. And then another terrific cross and goal to get us back in it again, but it was just a little bit too much for us to do. So letting 3 goals in at home is you know.
Brings us back to last season.
It's difficult. It's difficult, and
I have to say, we saw Corey Blackett-Taylor there making 2 assists. It doesn't have to make a difference if you've got someone with pace, doesn't it?
I think pace is very important in the modern game. Yeah, I mean, at Luton this year, the remit really was to make the team more athletic, and I think we've done that. Pace in the modern game is vital. I mean, you've seen there how he's gone past people on both goals. He looks like he can go both ways as well, which is a threat.
He can, definitely. He's still learning that role, but he's doing very well in that, and lasting 90 minutes as well.
You know, he's come here as I can see, as a right winger or predominantly on the right side, and he's gone left wing back, and he's been excellent ever since he's took an injury, and now he's come back. He looks sharp.
Okay, now Jason Pearce is back on the side, and he's played the last few matches. Let's hear from him now. He spoke to CharltonTV this week.
Obviously, we had Sam got injured in the game before. Ryan got sent off. We travelled with 19 to Wimbledon and I was left out of the squad. So I didn't expect to play at all, and then obviously they got injured, suspended. Ben was supposed to be starting, and then Ben come out in training struggling with a dead leg, so then I got put in. So I was just delighted to get him opportunity to play, and then in a game where we got nothing to lose really against one of the top teams in the division, playing against Michael Smith. I've had a good few battles over the years with him, so no, I was just relishing the battle and couldn't wait to get out there, and hopefully that showed on the pitch and we got a real positive result. In football, you get to 30 years old and everyone says you're finished, and I've always had a professional attitude, tried to do everything right on and off the pitch, to give myself the best opportunity on the pitch, and I feel like I've done that. And like you said, I'm 34 now. Whether or not I had doubters, I feel like this season I signed a contract which the club gave me, which was for a backup role. Obviously I was disappointed with that because I felt like I still had a big part to play, and I think I've proved that this season with the amount of games I've played this season. So there might be doubters out there, but I still know I've got a lot to give. Whether that be in a backup role at times, because obviously I'm getting older, I'm an experienced player. I feel like I'll be good to have around the place, but you're always trying to prove people wrong, you know. And I think, like I said, I feel like I've done that in the performances I've given this season. I feel like I could have played more. I do feel like I could have played more as well. I feel like I've been unlucky to lose my place at times, but that's football, and I think you have to go and show the right attitude on the training pitch, show your disappointment on the training pitch, and work hard as you can. So yeah, for this season, yes, for me, I'm pleased that I've played the games I have. Disappointed I haven't played as more, but yeah, moving forward, I'm sort of at a crossroads now, if I'm honest. I feel I could carry on playing for another two seasons, if not more. I feel I've kept myself fit, but also I am doing a bit of coaching, and I'm really enjoying that, and I want to give back to the younger players and help them as well. So, and I feel like I've got a real good affiliation with the club. So, no, at the moment there's been sort of preliminary talks, but I don't know what's happening. I've had nothing firm, so obviously I'm going to have to keep my options open. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I'd love to stay at the club. I love the club, but yeah, I'm not sure what the club are thinking, so we'll just have to wait and see. But no, I've been working hard for sort of 5, 6, 7 years now on the coaching side, and it's given me a different perspective on the game. So I try and look at it differently. Even when I don't play, I try and watch the games back and see where we could help, where I could help, and what we could do, and just trying to, from a personal point of view, trying to learn. So no, I'm always trying to learn. And yeah, like you said, in the gantry, I was watching the game, looking down. I've done it at the home game recently as well. So no, I'm enjoying that part of it. So obviously I know I'm getting older, and that is going to come at some point. So I'm just trying to give myself the best opportunity, so when I do go into that coaching role, that I'm ready for it, and I do the best I can. I try to sort of help the younger players. Obviously Mason coming through, Deji, Josh Davison. I've done a lot of work with like some of the players out on the training pitch, and I've loved it, to be fair. Like planning sessions, going through analysis. I've spoken to the gaffer about it, and he's been really receptive to it, and allows me to go and do that, which is great. And I feel like I know what the gaffer wants in terms of how he wants to play. So it gives me that freedom to go and do that. So no, I really relish doing that. Again, another person who's been real key to helping me is Anthony Hayes in the 23s and Sens, and they've been great with me and really helped me to try and learn, and they're great and giving me things to look at. And so yeah, and I've been lucky with what we've got here, and the opportunities that there is here, and I just hope that me being here, my affiliation with the club look at that and want to keep me on board. I'm keen to do that, but obviously, like I said, nothing's been really spoken about, and so I'm not sure what the future holds yet.
It's a very honest interview, that, isn't it? Really interesting.
I don't know the guy, but he looks like he could have fit into our squads. The way he's talking and that.
Absolutely.
And the thing I took, apart from the coaching side, he was 18th man or 19th man. Now, if you're Jacko, you won't take someone who you think's going to be 19th man who's going to be miserable as sin and sit around the place and moan and groan, would you? He's took him because he knows that if he left him out, like he did, he'd be around the dressing room, you know, geeing everyone up. So, yeah, I like that. I like that interview.
Think there's a role for him at the club next year, and if so, on or off the pitch?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? But
it sounds like he wants it.
It sounds like and he's doing the coaching. It's interesting. As you were saying about the coaching, I went to Fulham, didn't I, for a little while, and Scotty Parker was doing his coaching badges before he retired. And I think that's always a plus point. You know, a lot of players decide to do that afterwards, and they're basically out of the game. You know, they've come out and then they've got...
But they missed the trick.
Yeah, Scotty done it while he was still playing, and then had all them contacts around him and everything else. And obviously one of the major ones was Fulham. The same as Pearce there.
Interesting. Let's have a quick reminder of the teams as the teams are coming out as well. There's just the one change for Charlton, which is Connor coming in for Mason Burstow in that 3-5-2 formation with a very strong bench. Let's have a look at Cambridge now, shall we? As well. Perhaps a slight surprise, Joe Ironside on the bench, Chappie?
Yes, I would have said he's an important part of the way they play. Whenever I've seen him this season, he's been a real handful up top.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it should be a really good game. Looks a little bit windy there at the moment. Cambridge, we know, are in really good form at the moment. So what are you thinking, Curbs?
I think it's going to be an open game like we had here on Saturday, but I just hope we can defend a little bit better. You know, some of the goals we're letting in have been avoidable. We defended very well at Rotherham, and it seems that when we come back to here, the game's too open. So I should imagine we'll keep it a bit tighter tonight, and we've got players who can score a goal.
They've made changes by the looks of their team, by the way. This is second choice keeper in goal, for example. Wes Houlihan's come back in. I would have thought that was, you know, he hasn't started, didn't start the last game. He'll be important if he gets on the ball, because he can still play.
Pitch looks a little bit different. Looks green, isn't it? There's no sand in the corners, Chappie.
The corners used to be quite long, actually. He left the grass longer as well as putting sand in there so the balls wouldn't run out. But no, the pitch looks good. Much better than in my day.
Yeah, I'm sure. And look, there's Thomas Sandgaard there as well with Martin. So he's come over, he's ready to see, and he's wanting all 3 points. I tell you what, he didn't fly in today, did he? He looks extremely fresh there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And, it'd be nice for him to see a performance and a result tonight, because, you know, at the weekend he's sitting there watching the game, and, you know, it must be tough, so far away, and seeing your team getting beat.
OK, well, let's get to our commentary team, shall we? It looks like a lovely, fresh evening, one for a perfect way of playing. I'm sure the lads are nice and wrapped up warm up there. Let's get to Terry Smith, Greg Stubley and Stevie Brown back from his 10-day trip to the Caribbean, but I saw him at the weekend. He's still as white as ever.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Curbs. I don't know what they're talking about, you being as white as you. I think you match any of the tans in the studio.
The fast stand still going up and down, mate.
Except, well, I say colour of the people in the studio. Phil Chapple, at least.
Yeah, Chappie still looks like he could play, doesn't he? Yeah, I mean, he's the second nicest man in football, and no one can dethrone Matty Holmes. But they are the two most genuinely nicest people you'll ever meet and work with in football. It's good to hear his voice.
I can concur. Actually, I had a great experience with Phil Chapple and my family in a pre-season tour to Ireland. But that's another matter as the game gets underway here at the Abbey Stadium. Cambridge